Welcome to the deep dive. For this dive, we are bypassing the glossy pitch deck. We're going straight into the engine room.
Exactly. Our source material isn't a marketing document. It's a dense, quantitative planning document for a massive, multi-year project called Shiloh.
And for you, the listener, I think understanding the nature of this source is everything.
It really is. This is what you'd call decision-grade planning. It was built for internal committees, treasury teams, and institutional partners who demand verifiable numbers.
So our mission today is really to dissect how Shiloh is structured.
Yes, to see how it operates as what the document repeatedly calls a durable economic organism.
I find that language itself just fascinating. This is not some forecast driven by market exuberance. It feels different.
It is different. This is a commitment to building a financial structure that can withstand, the inevitable shocks.
And the document is very direct about that, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It has these non-negotiable disclaimers built right into the front matter.
For example,
it is explicitly not a securities offering. It's not a promise of financial return, and it's definitely not based on speculative growth forecasts.
the whole point is durability.
The whole point is durability. It's designed, in their words, to prove it can withstand volatility under the most intense stress testing. I mean, if a company's financial discipline were written as a constitution, this is what it would look like.
Okay, so let's unpack that financial constitution. We should probably start with the timeline.
Yes.
It seems they can't just grow willy-nilly. They have this locked four-phase maturity model, P1 Dawn, P2 expansion.
C3 Civic build-out, and then P4 maturity. And every single dollar spent, every hire made, is indexed to these phases. The whole structure is designed to enforce what they call earned scale.
And phase 1 Dawn, what's the core mandate there?
It's simple, but it's hard. The mandate is to accept early friction, meaning it will be messy, it will be expensive, but only within very defined financial guardrails.
So that phase is purely about proving the earliest unit economics.
That's it. And once that initial proof of concept is established, the financial responsibility, it escalates quickly.
Right, because the transition to phase 2 is non-negotiable.
It is. For phase 2 expansion, the entire campus must begin consistently funding its own reserves. Replacement reserves, operational reserves, they have to show stability.
And then by the time they get to the later phases.
By phases 3 and 4, the mature campus has to produce a repeatable operating surplus. Enough not just to pay bills, but to fund reinvestment into itself and prove it's ready for replication. The discipline is baked right into the sequence.
That rigor is key. They even define their path to break even from the get-go. What are those timelines?
For the baseline planning scenario, they're projecting consolidated break-even between month 12 and month 18.
Which is a 6-month buffer built right in.
A 6-month buffer. And if they hit the upside case, that window shrinks to month 9 through 15.
Okay, month 18 for a project this complex, that sounds highly aggressive, especially for a mixed-use development in a new location. What makes them so confident in that timeline?
It's the structural difference in how they generate cash flow. I mean, a standard development might rely on 1 or maybe 2 revenue engines. A hotel, maybe some residential.
Which is very fragile.
Extremely fragile. Yeah. Shiloh targets 6 to 10 interlocked engines, so if the market for one dips, the others stabilize it, it drastically lowers the overall risk.
So it's not just having multiple businesses, it's making sure they feed one another's demand. That's the real innovation here.
To see that redundancy in action, you just have to look at the financial proof points for phase 1. These are the targets that grant them permission to even think about phase 2.
Okay, so give us that initial revenue stack. What's powering the first year?
The initial phase is all about velocity. So if you look at the base case for year 1, the earliest money comes from high-touch experiences. Hospitality and lodging, that's glamping, early suites.
And the target there is?
It's between $1.1 million and $2.2 million. Then you have events and venues, which focuses on repeatable formats, professional retreats, micro-conferences.
Not one-off big concerts.
Exactly. And that targets $400,000 to $1.1 million.
That's a huge swing. Over $1 million in events alone. What's the biggest factor in hitting the top end of that?
It's utilization rates and price capture. Simple as that. If the market accepts their early rates and they keep capacity high, they hit the top end. But the crucial number is the overall base case total for phase 1.
Which is?
It runs from $2.73 million to $6.55 million. That's the launch velocity they need to prove.
That initial focus on lodging and events makes sense, but rural destination models are famously seasonal. So how do they plan to smooth out that demand curve? That's the classic problem.
And they have a name for the mechanism: demand smoothing. This is the key to the whole interlocked engine model,
And it's achieved through which divisions?
primarily through wellness and education. These programs create subscription-like revenue streams and cohort programs. Think professional residencies or long wellness retreats.
Ah, so they generate predictable demand and fill up capacity during the off-peak seasons.
That's it. So the education cohorts aren't just for enrichment. They are literally the reason the lodging backbone has stabilized occupancy in, say, January.
Yeah.
The learning component stabilizes the balance sheet.
The lodging component is the backbone, but it's the institutional programming that fills the rooms midweek.
Exactly. And that interlock is even mapped onto the physical geography of the campus. They assign financial roles to different regions.
Okay, tell us about that.
So the campus is split into 3 financial zones. Northland is the accelerator. Its job is to buy attention, convert traffic, create that high calendar velocity with festivals and so on.
And Central Shiloh.
That's the stabilizer.
Yeah.
It's all about retention and year-round demand smoothing through wellness and education.
Which leaves the Southland, the area with the durable resources.
The Southland is the backbone. Its primary financial job is to lock in lodging occupancy, ensure food resilience through their own agriculture.
Meaning they aren't reliant on volatile supply chains.
Right. And it also manages workforce throughput. It's a whole economic ecosystem mapped onto geography, all designed to reduce external dependencies.
The revenue plan is obviously smart, but any smart plan can fail if the money that comes in is mismanaged.
The classic failure mode.
So let's pivot and talk about the governance rules designed to prevent that. What enforces this conservative approach?
The enforcement comes from what they call the Treasury Charter. This is where financial discipline becomes constitutional. It's non-negotiable.
And you see this most clearly in the rules for surplus cash.
Yes, in the surplus deployment order. It's a strict, sequenced list of what happens to surplus cash, but only once they reach Phase 4 maturity.
And what's number 1 on that list? Because in a lot of places, it's pay shareholders or expand.
Here, number 1 is always the full funding of the replacement reserve. It means zero tolerance for deferred maintenance. If a roof needs fixing, the money is already there.
And only after that can they move to step 2.
Which is hardening the liquidity ladder.
Okay, hardening the liquidity ladder. That's some serious jargon. How do we translate that for the listener?
Just think of it as building a stepped defense fund. You start by funding your immediate operating reserve, 3 to 6 months of costs. Then you build the stabilization reserve, which is a deeper cash pool for, a recession or a major shock.
So they're building layers of defense.
Multiple layers, so they can handle a small dip without touching the biggest cash pools. And only after those reserves are fully hardened can they even consider new investment.
And that's when the audit harness kicks in.
Right. The document says any remaining surplus can only go to high ROI CapEx tied only to fixing bottlenecks.
This is to prevent what the document calls prestige CapEx.
Exactly.
The shiny new building that looks good on a brochure but doesn't actually improve the economics.
The audit harness is there to stop that.
Yeah.
To check for circular logic and stop, emotional or ego-driven spending. The goal is longevity, not vanity.
And part of that durability is literally built into the ground, the resilience infrastructure.
Absolutely. The microgrid and the independent water systems are explicitly defined as a balance sheet protection layer. It reduces their exposure to volatility.
Power outages, utility price spikes, droughts.
It converts that fragility into measurable financial predictability.
And they've quantified the savings. How big is that reliability dividend they project?
It's massive. By Phase 4, the avoided cost from the energy microgrid is valued at $4 to $12 million annually.
Infrawater.
An additional $1.5 to $5 million a year. And that money goes directly back into hardening those reserves.
So how does the organization make sure that the excitement of early success doesn't lead them to scale too fast, to outrun their cash?
That is the whole job of the phase gate scorecard. Progression is controlled by hard, auditable metrics, not optimism.
Let's use the P1 to P2 transition as an example. What do they have to prove?
2 main criteria, and they have to be met at the same time. First, blended occupancy has to stabilize at or above a 45% run rate for a full 90 days.
Okay, so that proves baseline demand. What's the second metric? It's more subtle, right?
It is, and it's all about margin protection. The direct booking share must be rising, targeting at least 35%. This is critical. It means they're reducing the fees they pay to external booking sites.
They have to prove they own their customer base before they get to expand.
Exactly.
And if they don't hit those metrics, what if there's an unexpected dip?
Then the downside containment measures kick in immediately. The document has specific red flags that trigger an automatic hold on any expansion.
And the most critical red flag is,
A runway breach. So if their projected cash falls below a minimum threshold within 90 days, or if they skip or even reduce a mandatory reserve payment, the whole system just locks down until financial integrity is restored.
shifting focus a bit, this document is clearly also written for public sector stakeholders, people who care about regional impact, specifically jobs.
Right. What's the tangible benefit to the area?
What is the scale of direct employment they're projecting?
At Phase 4 maturity, the base case projection for direct jobs, so on-site headcount, is substantial. It's 90 to 160 stable, high-quality jobs.
And when they talk about the broader economic footprint, how do they calculate that?
They use a standard total economic activity model. It's 3 parts. Direct activity is their own revenue. Indirect is the supply chain, so spending on regional vendors. And induced is the boost from employees spending their wages locally.
What's the projected scale of that total activity?
At P4 maturity, the base case is projected at $25.5 million to $42.5 million annually. But, and this is crucial, the document is careful to state this is a modeled impact.
It's not a promise.
It is explicitly not a speculative promise of ROI for anyone. It's a compliance rule, really, just to ensure realism.
So we've seen the project reach maturity P4, but the vision goes to Phase 5, the Commonwealth era, where Shiloh becomes a generator node. How does that financial discipline extend to replication?
Replication is modeled not as speculative growth, but as institutional replication of proven, auditable operating systems. They have built-in constraints, based on things like their reserve policy and their governance bandwidth. They simply won't replicate faster than they can train staff and leadership to manage the new complexity.
And they even categorize the potential future sites.
They do. They use standardized node classes A, B, and C with defined, stabilized revenue bands. This lets them model the liability and opportunity of a new site before a single shovel hits the dirt.
So a node B site, for example.
A full node B site is projected to hit $45 million to $90 million in annual stabilized revenue. The unit economics are replicable because the governance is standardized.
So if we distill this whole deep dive down to one core takeaway for you, the listener, it seems to be this. The financial success of Shiloh is structurally locked behind discipline.
Radical financial discipline, yeah.
And non-negotiable governance, verifiable, stress-tested data. It's not about a charismatic narrative or unchecked hype.
Which is the essential ingredient for longevity in any complex, multi-decade organization. That's it. Growth is not purchased through leverage or optimism. It is strictly earned by meeting the phase gates and proving financial integrity at every single step.
We've spent our time today digging through the blueprint of an organization anchored by a treasury constitution and an audit harness, all designed to prevent classic failures, from circular logic to prestige capex. We've seen the systems designed to ensure durability for a decade or more.
An extraordinary depth of planning.
It really is. And so here is the final provocative thought we'll leave you with. Given the level of organizational discipline required just to plan a project this strictly, what does that suggest about the sheer, quiet ambition necessary to actually execute it? You have the numbers in front of you now. What assumptions would you stress test first?